Kothari, Chair of Medical Humanities, the beliefs it stands for, and its aims and aspirations for our students. respected HODs and faculty members, and all my dear students. Today we have gathered here to celebrate a legacy, one that has been passed down from generation to generation here at Seth G.S.Medical College, and Manu Smruti.
Now, I would like to welcome our eminent guest on the stage, Dr.Avinash Supe sir. Dr. Suni Pandya sir, the chairperson of Dr. Manu.Kothari, Chair of Medical Humanities. Also today we have with us Dr. Ashok Vaidya, a renowned pharmacologist. He was also the batchmate of Dr. Manu Kothari sir. Our Dean Dr. Sir will join us shortly.
Also, we are happy to have here with us Dr. Auditorium sir, our academic dean, the HODs of biochemistry, Dr. Anita Kare ma'am, Munira ma'am, the associate of physiology, who have all helped us to organize this program today. Thank you. Before starting anything auspicious, as it is customary, we should offer our prayers to Lord Ganesha.
And for that, I would like to invite Shruti Kharad to sing the Ganesh Vanda in her melodious voice for us.
Swasti Shri Gananayako Gajamukho Mureshwara Siddhidah Ballarastu Vinayaka Svathamani Chintamani Sevare Lenadrao Girijatmaja Suvaradu Vigneshwara Shodhare Grame Ranjana Samstito Ganapati Kuryat Sada Mangalam Kuryat Sada Mangalam Kuryat Sada Mangalam.
Thank you, Shruti.
Shidori. Shidori in Marathi means a small packet of food that a mother gives to her son when he embarks a long journey.
Here at Seth G.S.Medical College, Shidori is a program organized by the Departments of Biochemistry and Physiology. A program that symbolizes the blessing and wisdom that comes from experience, all packed with love, given by teachers and seniors to the first years, who will just start their journey in the world of medicine.
And what better start to Shidori than Manu Smruti?
To celebrate the memory of one of the greatest teachers, philosopher and doctor, one who has shaped the lives of so many, our dear late Dr. Manu Kothari sir.
On the occasion of Manu Smruti, we have with us Dr.Avinash Supe sir.
In his 44 years at Seth G.S.Medical and KEMH, he has been a role model for many. He joined this institute in 1974 as a student and thereon progressed to retire as a dean in 2018. He is currently the president of the Indian Association of Gastroenterology and also the director of Hinduja Hospital. He is the recipient of 44 national and international awards, fellowships and medals, including the very prestigious BC Roy Award for Best Teacher. He is also a great photographer and loves trekking. He is a friend, philosopher and guide for students as well as teachers.
I would like to invite Dr. Avinash Supe sir to speak a few words on value-based medical education.
Respected Dr. Pandya, Dr. Ashok Vaidya, Dr. Jivraj Mehta, Dr. Nadkar, all senior HODs and students. It has been an honor for me to be here, and it's a really day. 5 years ago, I think we lost our teacher, and today we are all here to remember our teacher, Dr. Manu Kothari sir, who was an epitome of values. I think 5 years after also, I still feel he is in this hall. He is speaking to all of us. There's a mic here, and we are only listening what he really says. 5 years have gone, but we still have not forgotten his all values and his teachings. That's actually what we all remember. Sir has been part of our life and will continue to remain part of our life. Many of you may not have seen Sir, but I'm sure through his channel, his talks, through all our memories, I'm sure you will continue to remember him and learn from him even after he is not there. And that's his greatness. Now I think the apt topic for Manu Smruti I thought was value-based medical education, because Sir in his life has throughout his life he talked only about values, attitudes and communication. And I thought that's the reason I thought this is one topic which will deal with what is really need of the hour. Now I think, Sir, as you know and you guys remember, I mean, it's always said that a good teacher, you always remember a good teacher the way he has treated you rather than what he has taught you. And Sir has always treated us in such a way that we will indebted to him for our life. So let's look at education, how it had changed. You know, from 1974 to 2018 when I retired, we changed from blackboard to smartboard. You know, I was here working, but we still have a blackboard, but nobody uses it now. We all use the smartboards. With information easily available today, students now learn with Google and not with teachers. And that is what teachers should really understand today. Easily available technology and with technological innovations and images, it seems we now know more about patient diseases. Look at the spiral CT scan, how it has really come. Reconstruction of the neurosurgery, MRI proctography, we know now exactly where is the tumor, how many millimeters, virtual colonoscopy, capsule endoscopy, we know now inside of the body what exactly we know. But with everything available, doctor feels he is in control. He feels with everything I know about that patient. I know everything about 2 millimeters of that disease. He treats now CT scan reports and numbers. He doesn't treat patients. And that's a problem with our system. Now with this control and computers, we have lost novelty and intuition. People stop thinking beyond that control. And that's the biggest problem. Now, uncertainty is medicine. The first casualty is lack of intuition and novelty. If I were to know everything, that means I am in control of everything. That means I am uncomfortable with uncertainty. And medicine is uncertainty. Feeling that everything is in control, I know everything, kills intuition and inquisitiveness. And the first sentence in our hospital was, you are here to question and not answer. I think that is what is killed with all that control, and that is the biggest problem of education today. Now all of us know we go from general physician to specialist to super specialist to super specialist. Now there are people who only work on knees or shoulders or right eye and left eye. So ideally general physician should form the maximum number of people and super specialist should be less. Today we are exactly reverse. We have now been completely reversed the triangle, which has caused a problem in our country. The cost of health has gone up only because of this reversal of triangle. We have not only reduced our universal self, but we also reduced our ability to look for differences. In search of a single route, we have forgotten that there is a forest outside. It is forest that makes a difference whether there are trees should live or not. Forest makes a decision by making its own environment whether these trees should live or not, and they are living because they are part of the ecosystem of the same. So we have now started looking with scopes, with magnifications, forgetting that there is a human beyond that particular scope. Many patients today complain that doctors did not look at us or touch us. He only sees reports about seeing computers. This is alarming, and we need to bring back care, responsiveness, values, along with the attitude, ethics and communication back to education.
To do with a friend of mine who had breast cancer, had a small breast cancer detected, had her lumpectomy in the town in which I lived. This was when I was in Texas. And she then spent a lot of time researching to find the best cancer center in the world to get her subsequent care. And she found the place and decided to go there, went there, and which is why I was surprised a few months later to see her back in our own town getting her subsequent care with her private oncologist. And I pressed her, I asked her, why did you come back and get your care here? And she was reluctant to tell me. She said, the cancer center was wonderful. It had a beautiful facility, giant atrium, valet parking, a piano that played itself, a concierge that took you around from here to there. But, she said, they did not touch my breast. Now you and I could argue that they probably did not need to touch her breast. They had her scanned inside out. They understood her breast cancer at the molecular level. They had no need to touch her breast. But to her, it mattered deeply. It was enough for her to make the decision to get her subsequent care with her private oncologist, who every time she went, examined both breasts, including the axillary tail, examined her axilla carefully, examined her cervical region, her inguinal region, did a thorough exam, and to her that spoke of a kind of attentiveness that she needed. I was very influenced by that.
So look at the system. We are looking at scans, we are looking at CTs, but we are not having the human contact with the patients. And that is what is very important for any value-based system. With this control and computer, we have also lost trust of patients. And that is something also is worrying. The doctors and hospitals are attacked, doctors are blamed for money extraction because there is no trust. 40 years ago, when I entered this profession, doctors did not know much. There were no ultrasound, there was no CT, there was no MRI. Diagnosis was uncertainty. We used to do exploratory laparotomy. But still that was a paternalistic model, and patients trusted our teachers. Today, doctors have much more information about patients and their diseases, minute up to 2 millimeters, but still patients do not trust doctors. So there has a change into the whole doctor-patient relationship from what is called as a paternalistic to informative to deliberative, and all these kinds of things we have really come to. Another thing with control and computers, we have lost compassion and empathy. And look at this picture. In 1987, I don't know how many of you really know this picture. So Luke Fields was a painter. And he painted this picture, the doctor. You can see a doctor who is sitting there throughout the night. There is a father and mother who was behind. The child is recovering. And look at the passion. He really, that time, really told that doctor profession is one of the best professions, and he values that profession much more. Today, after 100 years, maybe more than that, today we have a publication in Lancet 2019, last month, which said empathy in the age of electronic medical record. And today children are drawing picture where the doctor is sitting on a computer and the patient is really just sitting there. Now, if you look at the paintings, that's an art, as you say in humanities. Paintings really depict what is going in the society. So this was a kind of a painting in 1887 and 2019, telling you complete change of the picture of what has happened to the patient-doctor relationship. We have also lost care, compassion, attitudes, responsiveness, and values. And that's the reason why I think this is something which all of us should really think about, introspect. Now, values can be defined many ways. There are different ways of really defining values, but value is a conception, explicit or implicit, distinctive of an individual or characteristics of a group, whether it's a religion or people who are working together, of the desirable which influences the selection from available modes, means and ends of action. And that's what values are. Value is not a number which is usually written with, say, rupees or dollars. Values have much more meaning, especially in the literature. So what value is qualities, characteristics, ideas about which we feel strongly. Our values affect our decisions. All of us have our goals and behavior which is based on what value system we are. A belief or feeling that someone or something else is worthwhile. Values make us live happily or unhappily. Value creates greed. Value creates satisfaction. And values are standards to guide your action, judgments and attitudes. So values is everything in life. And we normally don't do anything to teach values. We learn on their own. Let me give you an example. Plumber A versus plumber B. Plumber A out of 10 10 jobs does 7 well, 3 cannot do, but tell you clearly there is no manipulation. Plumber B is out of 10 jobs, will accept all 10 jobs, but manipulates in such a way that you will have to call him after 2 months. Which plumber you will choose? Plumber A or B? Now this is where the value system of a profession really starts coming. I'm sure the same can be really replicated into a medicine. You have a doctor who will make you come again and again, and then the doctor will clearly tell you that you don't need surgery. Now there are different kinds of values everybody will have. Honesty and competence both are essential for character building. Having said that, there are values versus facts. Values are things we feel should or are supposed to influence our lives. A value is a statement of one's personal belief. Facts are simple states that actually what are. It is easy to confuse values with facts. A fact is established by observation and measurement, but values are deeply embedded in your life. Now, what is the role of samskara? Classically, Dr.Jivraj says that what the nature gives is, like is prakriti. If you see it in a positive way, it becomes samskruti. If you see it in a negative way, it becomes vikruti. So, if you really took a right understanding of self, relationship with the human being, and physical facility, takes us from animal consciousness to human consciousness. And that's all what we call, when you call as Manu, I think the Manu is all about converting ourselves from animal consciousness to the human consciousness. And it is mutual happiness and mutual prosperity. Having said that, values, goals, behavior and self-value. Value gives direction and consistency to behavior. Values establish a relation between you and the world. You are identified with your values, and values set a direction for one's life. Now when we come back to the medical education, one of the most important part in our life is to removing communication barriers and enhancing professional-patient relationship. I always remember Dr. Kothari used to say a doctor should never be very well dressed. If he is very well dressed, patients will be afraid to tell him, especially a poor patient coming in casualty. I think you remember all this source was so, because that is where we have to really break those barriers. Helping physicians and families, patients to make sound, defensible choices and pursue good life. Allowing physicians to mindful social and cultural aspects of health problems and encouraging collectivism and public dialogue. That will subsequently lead physicians and other health professionals towards common good. Now this is what, when you want to teach values to people. So where do we get values from? We get values from our homes, our families, schools, society, friends, TV. Now TV is the biggest media, everyone giving values. All those serials, temple, mosques, churches, music, books, culture of an organization, KM culture, GS culture. Why we are so proud of our GS culture? Because of the value system which is there. You will realize it as the years go. Employers, time period in which you are raised. When in 40s, that time it was anti-establishment, independence. 60s became a conservative, safe, that time there was lack of resources. 90s was the area of liberalization, where the prestige and money came. And today, 2010 is earth, green, spend money, health and fitness. So the people have changed their values over years. As the resources become different, the value systems continue to change. So there is a lot of influence of these values on all of us. Your age will greatly influence your values. Different people and things influence you at different ages. Ages 1 to 7 are parents. My granddaughters are now becoming 7 years. I have told my wife, now no more she'll be influenced by you and me and parents. Now the teachers are going to come. Heroes from sports and rocks and TV will take her from 8 to 13. 14 to 20 are her friends, peers. Values become peers of peers because of values. We really don't know. And after age 21, your values are established, but you may test your values from time to time. And over a bit of time, you continue to change and your values differ, though your major values remain the same. Now, this medical college, when we enter at the age of 17, this college and this medical MNT hall, this institution, this kind of walls have really put in a lot of values. But the most important people here are teachers. We have really imbibed those values in us. The way they have treated us, they have behaved with us, have a lot of influence on our values. So happiness comes from letting values decide your behaviors and goals. You know, I mean, if you really go to Bhutan, it's the first country, number one country for happiness. And if you really think, it's all value-based. The values are so good that you will find that in spite of all lack of resources, they are the happiest people. You don't require a Mercedes to be happy. You don't require to go into 5-star every day to be happy. You require something which is again value-based to be happy. Values can change over a life, time as your experiences change. You know, the classic example of Valya turning into Valmiki. So the classical example in Ramayana where the value changed. There are types of values, there are classifications of values, moral, material values, aesthetic values, intrinsic values, universal values, American. Our mythology is the epitome of value-based education. All of us have heard about Panchatantra, Ram philosophy versus Krishna philosophy. In life you have to really decide, am I going to be Ram or I am going to be Krishna? What was the difference between Ram and Krishna? Ram did not cut corners, Krishna was ready to cut corners. Now are you ready to do with that? I mean, that's the way you decide your philosophy. How are you going to survive? Pandavas versus Kauravas, very clear. And Panchatantra, I think every story of Panchatantra gives you value. And all of you, if you have not read, I am sure many of you may not have. So please read about Panchatantra. It is something which is worth reading. Look at Jnaneshwari. Sant Jnaneshwar wrote this wonderfully. If you read Jnaneshwari, मराठीमध्ये आपण त्याला मूल्य म्हणतो, जीवन मूल्य, व्हॅल्यूज ऑफ लाईफ, इटर्नल दॅट इज शाश्वत मूल्य और चिरंतन मूल्य, सामाजिक मूल्य दॅट इज सोशल मूल्य, आणि व्यक्तिगत दॅट इज पर्सनल व्हॅल्यूज. सो एव्हरीबडी has really emphasized values in their life. Sant Tukaram has really said, he talked about role modeling. You know, he said, बोले तैसा चाले तयाची बंदावी पावले, अंगे झाडी न अंगण. You know what he says, that I will clean his veranda with my own body. You know how much I will believe my role model. Why do we love our teachers? It's only because of this. Dayache dasatva karina. You know, so everybody, whether it is your mythology, whether your Ved, if you look at values, religion and cults, Fowler's theory, you know, there are so many theories about value education. There is something called as the world value ranking. If you go into literature and you see every country, somebody believes more in family, somebody believes more in work, somebody believes more in friends, somebody has more believes in leisure time, religion and politics. But if you look at the value scale, there is a different kind of a value scales across the world. Therefore, a Spanish kind of environment is different than what you get in Ayodhya. So they are totally different the way you look at value system. Science and values. Can you really join science and values? There is a system called as the mirror neurons. Mirror neurons into the brain, the values like compassion and empathy are related to those mirror neurons. There are something called as the Dalai Lama neurons, Mahatma Gandhi neurons. And there are so many kinds of, these are literature of science which is there, which really talks about values. Values are based on role models. Values are imbibed by imitating teachers. Parents, role models, values imbibed by watching teachers in action. Students follow not only on what teacher talks, but how he behaves. Today is Shidori. What Shidori gives us is something which teachers and your peers will give you, which you can take home throughout your life. That is Shidori. That is teachers are going to teach you. It is a link between science, religion, culture and philosophy. And that is what whole system is. The next question is, how do you develop attitudes and values? Now that is important. Many of you are teachers, many of you are students, but over a period of time you should realize how do we develop and how do you really make others develop those values. It's not so easy. Now let's look at mythology and values. You know, there are very good role models. Aruni and Dhaumya. I don't know how many of you really heard the story of Aruni and Dhaumya. That Dhaumya Rishi told Aruni and he went into, sat into that waterfall for many, hours, till the time his teacher came and found him out. He was so passionate and dedicated. all egos of Pandavas was really killed by Yama by that answers and around the lake. Hanuman and Bhim, the classic story of lifting up a tail, and Krishna and Arjun. You know, probably Arjun had all kinds of training. He had gone to fellowships, he had gone somewhere everywhere, he learned everything. But at the time when it came of fighting the Kaurava Yuddha, he required meditation. He required 18 adhyayas of Gita to just tell him that yes, you have to change and you have to change and fight. Chanakya and Siddhartha, I am sure you have seen the serial. Shushruta and Charak, I am sure are considered the really big teachers in our Hindu. Now, friendship, sympathy towards the sick, interest in cases according to one's capabilities, and no attachment with the patient after his recovery. That's what Charaka said. The patient may doubt his relatives, his sons, and even his parents, but he has full faith in the physician. He gives himself up in the doctor's hand and has no misgivings about him. Therefore, it is the physician's duty to look after him as his own son. I think that's what Shushruta said. Now, this was not only science, this was not only surgery, this was not only medicine, this was beyond that, the good patient-doctor relationship and the values of that patient-doctor relationship. So we need a wider vision. So when we are learning here into this halls, we don't only need to look at MCQs or we don't look at books. We need a wider vision. We need to look beyond all this to become a good physician. A person who studies only one branch of science cannot arrive at a proper conclusion. So we have to break those walls. We have to go beyond those walls. And this is what not me said, this was said by Sushruta about many years ago. And we just have to follow that. So how do we learn attitudes? Thoughts, actions, behavior, and value character. So we initially have thoughts put in by somebody, we think over it, act, we change our behaviors, that develops our character. Project professionalism in 1995, the world realized this much earlier. Let me tell you, we must have also realized, we have been learning it, but there is a need to formalize this, that's what world realized. And project professionalism started in USA in 1995, that was ACGMA. ACGMA is American Council for Medical Graduates. Many of you may be aspiring to go there, and they developed this milestone project. That means they said what kind of competencies people want at the end when they become doctors. So they developed these competencies into 6 domains like knowledge, patient care, communication, practice-based learning, systems-based learning, and the last important was professionalism. A doctor has to be a professional. So they developed into each competency like level 1, level 2, and it was a simple thing like if you want to take a history, what a first year should know, second year should know, third year should know, fourth year should know. There are 176 such milestone booklets for specialties, and each booklet is about 100 pages. Imagine the amount of work which is done by everybody for the last 5 years. Now what kind of competencies are there? Ascendancy of attitudes, facilitating patient and family involvement, how you should gather the data, how you should develop relationship skills, how you should develop partnering skills, facilitating patient and family involvement, trustworthiness. A doctor should be trustworthy. All these need to be developed over a period of time. And they develop what is called as an incrustable professional activity, which is commonly called as EPAs, which is a mixture of few milestones. Now this is the way world has gone. So world developed these EPAs and they are now trying to implement this to bring back the professionalism. There are ways to incorporate values into curriculum. Through role plays, movies, morning presentations, reflections, work at a gymkhana.
As you just heard, my wife and I are parents of 6 children. If you look closely at the screen, you also know something interesting about my family, and that is that my 6 children are all daughters. But this is Chanel with a couple of her friends in our kitchen goofing off, and Chanel's just turned 17. I was driving to work with her, and I could tell as she drove that she was not happy. It might have been the way that she revved through the 6th gears on her way to top speed in the 60 zone, and she just wasn't happy. And I commented, I said, Chanel, you seem like you're unhappy. And she rolled her eyes, and I said, I get a sense that you're unhappy with me. And she said, yes, Dad, I am. And I said, I'm so glad that you told me that. Could you tell me why? She said, well, sure. Today I found out that 2 weeks ago all of my friends had a party and they didn't invite me, and I only just found out about it today. And when I asked them why they didn't invite me, they said, well, because it was the kind of party that Dr. Justin Coulson wouldn't have approved of. And for those of you for whom the penny didn't drop, I'm Dr. Justin Coulson. And straight away I felt so bad for her. I thought, oh my goodness, my parenting is causing my daughter to be ostracised and isolated, to feel horrible, and to miss out on opportunities with her friends. But do I want her to have those opportunities? And I looked at her and I said, you know, if they didn't invite you to a party that I wouldn't approve of, it sounds like there probably were a few things going on that are not consistent with our values. Was there alcohol being consumed and potentially misused? She said, yes. I said, were there other drugs being consumed and potentially misused? She said, almost certainly. I said, were people disappearing into rooms for intimate encounters that they may or may not regret the next day? She said, possibly. I said, well, I'm really glad you weren't there. And so I said, do we need to revisit the rules? She looked at me and said, Dad, I know why we have the rules. I've been part of the conversations, remember? Okay. I said, I want to ask you a tough question. You're nearly an adult. You're a year and a bit off being an adult. Now, I think these are good rules, but do we need to rethink the rules? And then I waited and my heart pounded. And eventually she said, Dad, I don't like the rules. And my heart stopped. And I said, and I started to think of how to respond. And as I was thinking, she jumped in and added something else for me. She said, right now, Dad, I don't like the rules one little bit. But they're good rules. I think we should keep them. This is the kind of line that every parent dreams of hearing from their kids. The heavens opened and the angels started singing, and I just wanted to hug her. I was thinking, yes. If you paid attention to the story, you don't get it by saying, well, damn it, they're good rules and I expect that you will keep them. That's part of being in this family. That's called control. And that's not how we get to this point. Instead, we get it through this thing called autonomy. Force creates resistance. But great relationships build autonomy, which allows us to leverage trust, which builds massive influence. Thank you.
This was Dr. Jivraj Mehta. He's a parenting psychologist from Brisbane. You should listen to his videos. But what he really said is very interesting. That yes, all of us want free mess, but rules, some control on ourselves definitely brings a lot of better values in all of us. And this is what sometimes our teachers may do to us. But in a long run, they definitely bring a lot of values to us. So value education is through my teacher, through what is called as an hidden curriculum. So in all the days it was what needs to be done, we need role models. That is missing. Develop teachers with values, value-based education, that is curricular implementation. Now Dr. Manu Kothari, I want to say that he was full of values. He really helped us to develop attitudes in us. He developed values in us. Ethical principles. Lead by example, honesty and integrity. Concern and care for patients. You should have seen the way he used to care for any patient who used to come to him. Well, not a very rich patient, a very poor patient comes to you, he will go with him, take him to various places. He used to go and visit to Ashadan, the people who have nobody, respect for students, and most important, he had faith in students. I think these are values which you will not get. This is only few I have put. I can write, you can write pages and pages about Dr. Kothari and his values. And that's what I feel, this is something which we need to learn from our teachers. The hidden curriculum consists of those things that students learn through the experience of attending college, rather than just taking into these educational objectives of the institution. Many of these things you will learn outside this hall, in corridors, in gymkhanas, in badminton hall, in canteens, in hostels. But these are all value learning. So need to formalize this informal. Now that was a question which was raised. Will it work? Will students absorb? There's a need to emphasize, at least to people, that yes, we have to have learned value education. So there is something called as a plan, delivered and experienced. So tell me and I will forget, involve me and I will understand. So we need to involve students into all this. And sure, therefore something called an experiential learning, which David Cobb said, relating to derived from the provision of experiences and derivation. So there is a process of learning, there is a process of learning through experience, and there is a process of learning through experiences and then reflecting what we have learned. The most important part is reflections. If you reflect, your values will really improve. So there is a concrete experience, reflections, there is abstract conceptualization, which you start thinking in your mind, and then you start doing on yourself. And then you will realize what was my experience, what worked, what did not really work, how can I improve, and what change experiments are planned. So that's the way you start thinking again and again. That's the way values will get settled. Nobody comes with many values in this institution, or they have some values, but this institution really imbibes many other values in them. So concrete experience, observations and reflections, forming abstract concepts, and testing in a new situations. So do it, what, so what, and now what? These are the questions you should always ask. And I'm sure Lopa Madam and Kothari sir have always made us ask these questions. So there is a classical approach versus direct and explicit teaching. So we did one interesting exercise I was going to share with you. This ATPA module which we began is nothing but formalizing the informal way of teaching attitudes and values. Now there was a very nice person, Henry Colt. You know, he was from San Francisco and he wrote this book, The Picture of the Health. He really taught people values through movies. And if you really see, there are a lot of movies like Patch Adams, Tucker, Instinct, and all these movies will teach you values in health. So we created a module called ATCOM module. Now it has this knowledge, skills, attitude, ethics, communication, values and responsiveness. And it has multiple sections, section 1, section 2, section 3. And it has got a lot of appendices about set of competencies and modified communication skills. And I'm sure you will be going through this foundation course, first professionals, and there are multiple on ethics, communication and attitude. What kind of examples? What does it mean to be a doctor? It's very important for us to realize why we have joined this institution. It is a question which is very simple, but once you start understanding why you have come here, you will start developing yourself accordingly. An exploratory session, facilitating a panel discussion, self-directed learning, introducing visit to the hospital, all these experiences will help you to think and develop compassionateness and empathy. Respecting and honoring a cadaver. Remember, cadaver is our first teacher in anatomy. You know, when I used to come and we were in anatomy hall, we used to sometimes dissect and throw those hands on table and used to really, now I feel so sorry about that. But I feel we should start respecting that cadaver from day one. And we should see to that the cadaver should be respected like a live person. And this is what creates a value in you. Communication skills. The doctor will see you now, I can't promise that he will talk to you. That's what is the problem today. Many times you go to a big doctor, you go through all those queues and he doesn't talk to you more than 1 minute or 2 minutes. He may just see your papers and he may not really look at you. What a frustrating experience for that patient is. So you have to develop a doctor-patient communication system. Breaking bad news. All the problems what you see in a hospital. How do you talk to patient about the cancer? How do you talk to patient about the seriousness of his disease? How to talk to relatives about death? You know, all this dealing with death is so important. And I'm sure thanatology, Dr. Kothari used to always say that we must introduce the subject of thanatology. He always thought it was so important. And spikes. ATCOM has come now into implementation. We have now had a network of almost about 22 colleges. And we have now trained more than 43,000 in basic workshops. More than 10,000 faculty in ATCOM. And from ATCOM has been really starting from this year across India. And I hope as the years go, this will probably become part of that particular curriculum. The Department of Humanities, which was started by Dr. Pandya and Dr. Lopa Mehta, I think was one of the boon to this institution. I think they came with idea. I was director. I was lucky that time that we could implement it without any hassles, and it has really done so well over the last 4 years. And it is picked up. It has started imbibing values into the institution. I think humanity and humility, all these words, though look together, they have a lot of connect between. So medical humanity is a philosophy. It counterbalances to relentless reductionism, which I talked about. It opens your mind. It widens your scope of thinking. Medical humanities has been defined as integrated, interdisciplinary, philosophical approach to recording. Look at other institutions. Look at Howard. Look at John Hopkins. They have broken walls. Engineering and medical department work together. In our hospital, one department head does not see at the other department. Now I think this is a problem. We need to break those walls. I'm sure what you do here are exceptions. But there is a point of, we have to really mention that we have to change. And this is humanities, is a human side of medicine. We need to adopt it. And it has become part of the mainstream of medical education across the world. And I am happy now that the Medical Council of India has formally now included humanities as one of these. The new curriculum, humanities, has a place. It is now on print and people should develop humanities. There are few departments in India which has grown, but now there are many more will come. Humanity promotes competence. That is UCMS study says. Lastly, I would like to end with this ABCD approach. What we really need to do is attitude pertaining to mental and emotional dimension. Behavior, broad competencies are already defined and people should acquisition of ethical and professional behaviors. Communication is an essential skill which everybody should really learn. Sometimes you come from a non-English medium school, sometimes your communication is weak. Start working from it now during student days. Go to public speaking classes. Try to speak, because if you don't improve your communication, you can never be a professionally competent doctor. Respecting this diversity, that is one of the most important things we should understand. We come from all different areas. We have different capabilities. We must start respecting each other. And most important is empathy. Empathy is the ability to put oneself in patient's shoes. Being moved by the patient's story, and you have to balance between detachment and empathy, especially if you are working in critical situations like an ICU. AEM had wonderful role models, blessed with role models. Sir, Madam, Dr. Badirao, my teachers, SR Naik, and I can give you a number of examples who are sitting here. Dr. Pandya, I'm sure these are the people who have influenced us in our life. Lucky to have such teachers, and I would like to pay gratitude to my all teachers who have really imbibed with values in us. To summarize, values are important for medical professionals. Values are imbibed by students by observing parents, teachers and role models. Value-based education is necessary and need to be formalized. Medical education in India needs contextual competency-driven curriculum today. New initiatives like ADCOM will definitely change some degree of value-based education, and existing faculty development programs, curricular governance will probably help us reaching to that particular state. Thank you very much, and it was really an honor to speak to you.
That was the very enlightening talk, sir. Thank you, sir. Now I would like to request Dr. Sunil Pandya, sir, to present Avinash, sir, with a token of appreciation on behalf of Dr. M.V.L.Kothari, Chair of Medical Humanities.
Sir, please present your comments on the talk.
We are especially grateful to spare the time and come and deliver this talk. And the reason I say we are especially grateful is that this division of humanities owes its existence to him. He was the dean when this project was floated by Dr. Avinash Supe and by Dr. Mrs. Manu Kothari and by their son. They had suggested that as a memory, in memory of Manu Kothari, we should set up something which would be a continuing endeavor in the field of humanities, which, as Dr. Supe has pointed out so well, was part and parcel of Dr. Kothari's makeup. That's who he was. He was a humane person, and he wanted to propagate this humanity amongst everybody in this institution, present and future. And so Dr. Ashok Vaidya and Mrs. Kothari and Vatsal approached Dr. Supe. And Dr. Supe has done everything that is possible to make Dr. Kothari's dream come true. And so we are very grateful, and we are especially happy that you delivered this soul-stirring, inspirational talk. Thank you.
Apart from extracurriculars and values, we also have another integral part of the MBBS curriculum, and is academics and exams. To complete our package for today, I would like to invite Dr. Lopa Mehta ma'am to speak on de-stressing examination. एक अच्छा डॉक्टर क्या होता है? Manu sir had the perfect answer. Let's see.
I am most delighted that a young, tender, undergraduate age, you decide to make a meeting of the minds and arrive at some meaning. If Dr. Avinash Supe has completed 40 years, I have completed 60 years in KAM. And a few perceptions cast their shadow over my existence. One is we sorely need fun and frolic in medical education. Where dancing, singing, fun should be the primary thing, because as she pointed out, when you enter the room, it is as if one more candle has been lighted and the patient feels fine. So let us all feel and study with a gusto, with an eye on Vivekanand, volleyball and Vinoba. So that our upbringing is rounded. It was first university exam MBBS, and I stood across me, Vijayalakshmi from Science, 75. She said, sir, I don't know anything. I said, Vijay, you spent 18 months. That was 18 months then. So she said, I know that I don't know. So I said, you are not Buddha, because if you know that you don't know, where is the great stage of knowledge? I said, Vijaya, we Kutu read only one book regularly. Make fun. But you from south would be either singing or dancing, so she said, past 7 exams sing, so I said, sing just now. So she sang beautifully Aman in the University Hall, and I gave her 20 upon 20. She was happy, I was happy, but my co-examiner edited a Manu to Kai Kelas. Kai Kelas, 20 upon 20 they won't have. I said, I wanted to do 21 upon 20, but university doesn't have. swim, dance, so one thing is, we need to be happy within. Do what, nothing like a message, but Eric Erickson in Hippocratic Revisited, he said the golden rule of ethicality in medicine, to do unto the patient what you would be done by, and not to do unto the patient what you would not be done by. Very, very simple. And third, I was in Abu on a patient-doctor relationship, big crowd, no time left. So I thought to sing, so with your permission I'll sing a song again. Yeah. मरीज is a patient. मरीज की मुस्कुराहटों पे हो निशान, मरीज का दर्द मिल सके तो ले उधार, मरीज के वास्ते हो तेरे दिल में प्यार, डॉक्टर उसी का नाम है। The second stanza is, माना डॉक्टर देखने में फकीर है। I seriously believe you should be simply dressed next to an ailing patient. You can't be foppishly dressed. You can't be ostensibly dressed. Simpler, decent, but very simple. In a conversation in New York medicine, a physician tells the patient, come on, confide to me. She says, doctor, I'm afraid of you. Why? You are too well dressed for me. You are too suit, tie, and all that junk. And therefore, माना डॉक्टर देखने में फकीर है, फिर भी यारो दिल के वो अमीर है, मिटे मरीज के लिए वो जिंदगी, करे मरीज के लिए वो बंदगी, किसी को हो न हो हमें है एतबार, डॉक्टर उसी का नाम है। And lastly, medical practice is under scrutiny. In fact, you have a seminar on corruption. And what is corruption? Corruption, rupture of the heart. To betray the faith that the patient is posited in you is the biggest corruption. रिश्ता है मरीज के एतबार का, जिंदा है तब इससे नाम प्यार का. We must love the patient. Albert Schweitzer, 5 days north of the equator, would take a round to hospital at night 11 o'clock, say good night to everybody, come back and get back to his work. One night he missed to go. Next day morning, 6 o'clock he goes for the round and there's a patient sitting up. So Schweitzer said, hey, did you sleep well? He said, no sir. Why? I was waiting for him to say good night. I was waiting. रिश्ता है मरीज के एतबार का, जिंदा है तब इससे नाम प्यार का, कि मर के भी मरीज को याद आएंगे, मरीज की आंसू में मुस्कुराएंगे, कहेगा हर मरीज मरीज से बार बार, डॉक्टर उसी का नाम है. All the best for the next 3 days.
That was beautiful. I would now like to call Loba ma'am to speak on de-stressing examination.
video which you saw was the last time Dr. M.V.L.Kothari spoke at this podium in August 2014. He passed away in October. He was my teacher too. And today you heard him about examination and what you should do. So I am going to take you back of how freely you can walk in the exam hall. We will make it a little more interactive as we used to have. So, what are the components involved in an examination? How many components are involved in an examination? Yes? Come on. Yes? What are the components in a given examination system? Yes, come on, you all see, I have highest regard for your intellectual capacity. So, I am sure you will tell me the answer. I want you to all feel nice about yourself. So tell me, what do you feel about, what are the components in an examination system? Come on. Yes?
You get a set of questions.
Set of questions. It's only examination process. But overall, what are the components?
Knowledge,
Yes.
confidence,
Knowledge, confidence, that belong to whom? See, I would have written with left hand, but I will fall down. So you pardon, see my back, but I am going to write with my right. Yes? Okay. Still, I'll try. Can you read it? I don't know because the board is. You have examinee? Yes? I'm sorry, I won't be able to read from that distance. You have examinee? You have process of examination. It is being evaluated by an examiner and you have the result. Right? Now let's pay attention first to examiner. I am sure all the teachers who are sitting here will pardon me because I was also examiner. I must have fitted in the same group which the current examiners would. How many factors in an examiner will affect your examination? If you are shy of saying, I will spell out. The mood of examination, examiner. Okay? That day, that particular day mood, and in general mood. If the examiner feels that he knows much more and students know nothing, you have it. So you are not responsible for your evaluation at that time because that is examiner's perception that students know nothing. Okay? If examiner had gone through a lot of traffic or her own children or his own children or somebody bothered him, then he can transfer that to you. If he or she does not know that particular topic, then he may or she may ask you in such a manner that you also get confused what is expected. That's practical part. And in theory, so many times the questions are asked are so vague that probably if you ask 10 paper setters who have set those exact question papers, their answers will differ. So do you think you should pay in terms of evaluating your own performance, your own understanding in the hands of examiners? I treat examination as a process. It's like at the red light, you have to stop, and then it becomes green, you pass. So examination, if you are here, how much weightage to give to the results which are displayed on the paper? How many of you remember what marks you got in your second standard in school? And at that time, how much your parents bothered you? Other the other one came first, he got more marks or she got more marks and you got less. And how much you were disturbed at that time. So, it's only, examination is only a process. Mind you, this examiners apart, examination. If you look at the examination, do you think we can really judge the comprehension and competence of the candidate? The only person who really knows whether one has understood the subject or not is examinee. The type of questions asked in theory or in practicals are merely symbols. Sometimes I have to sort of deliberate with my co-paper setters. That here we are not to demonstrate how much we know. We have only got to find out the basic essential knowledge the student has acquired or not. So even if you have to repeat the question, because if this student also has to know anatomy of larynx, next year student also has to know anatomy of larynx, and year after year. So if you repeat basic, simple, required question, it doesn't matter. So now we come to the most important aspect, result I mentioned then, is examining you yourself. And one of the major handicap Dr. Supe mentioned, I put it a little differently. You saw that he said in 60s we were in the mode of saving. Whereas in 90s, and you people are born in 2000 onward, am I right? And nobody, I think all of you are born around 2002. 2003. Yes. By that time, you get everything so much a plenty that you have lost the value of what you use. See, when we were growing, I joined this institution in 63. Ballpoint pen had hardly come in. So the way now I see ballpoint pen being thrown around, we were using ink. And before that, in school, we were using slate and pen. Everything was so costly and available minimum that we valued everything. Right now, you have the problem of plenty. So you have lost the value of what you have. Because of that, you have not understood the value of getting your admission here. What I mean, many students aspire to get admission in medical college? Along with you, how many students appeared? More than 13 lakhs? Yes. How many could come here? Now, thanks to some increase in seats, 250. In this medical hall, now we are talking about this medical hall, 250. What is that percentage? Minuscule? Don't you think every day you should be grateful? Tell me honestly, how many days you feel nice when you wake up that you are going to be able to study where you wanted to study? Next, you are studying a human being. You yourself also are a human being. And this is where I want to bring out how you need to change your perspective on your study. MCQs cannot judge your learning. So examination in MCQ, even if you got 100% marks and you are here, thanks to the coaching classes, now you fold that pattern of learning, your own self, and start correlating with your subjects. I talked first about anatomy because that's what I taught for 33 years. In anatomy, I have been begging of students after even I retired, don't read the books which are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anatomy is a subject which you learn. It's a photography. If you have seen me, can you forget me? But if you read a book that so and so has this much height, this much weight, this is the complexion, this is the length of nose, this is face, how this many features, how many points to remember, and still can you really make out? So as anatomy is photographic memory, I am telling you, medicine itself is photographic memory. If you will see 10 patients with so-called same level of diagnosis, they will not be same. That will be the technical aspect, symptoms and sign-wise. And at the same time, the body language, if you are focusing attention on something else that patient knows, you are not with him and he gets put off. So both these aspects you can only learn what Dr. Supe just highlighted, how you cultivate your values. And pardon me for saying this, I am cautioning you, don't get carried away by so-called guidance of your peers. I told number of students, don't read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 type of books. But still, because the seniors told them, they trusted them more. So the beauty of internal year or middle year, they learned through 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rather than exactly visualizing which they could have. And peers are greatly responsible because they feel, oh, they have read, they have passed, so we are sure that we will pass. And second most disastrous thing which we are watching now is that your peers tell you, no need of going for posting. They make you sit. Each patient is a live textbook. It's not that Dr. Manadkar, for can spare so much time in giving you didactic teaching. It's not required. You have God-given beautiful 5 senses. I am sure all of you have more than 100 IQ. You all have wonderful language skill. I think most of you know, articulate yourself very well. So you don't need those kind of things. What you need is eliminate from your seniors if they have told you not to go for posting, not to go for words. Give the attendance and run away from behind. These are something disastrous messages. This has come only after the coaching classes scenario has come in picture. If you are giving, you have come to learn, teacher as much learns talking to students. So it's if you encourage the teacher, teacher will be encouraged. And it's not always the didactic teaching. You learn from sisters, you learn from ward boys, you learn from relatives, you learn from, of course, patients first. Then you see how those residents handle patients, you decide what you want to do, And most important, this I am telling you, being a warden of ladies hostel for 33 years, I have seen how students psych out each other. They psych out in such a manner that they say that, oh, we are not reading, we are not doing anything. Or they present some difficult things saying that this is going to be asked and make nervous each other. Here, let me make it very clear. University does not prevent everybody to score good marks. Everybody can score good marks. So instead of secretly learning, secret clinic and secret things, share, and share. More you will share, more you will learn. Every time I have taught a subject, I have learned much more. So if you share, so if you stop looking at your classmates as your competitors and look at each other as friends, entire vibration will change. All, if you now see, we have, I said 63 batch. So we now reunion, now we have a WhatsApp group, everybody says, oh, how nice it is to have friends and all. I'm not so sure whether at that time everybody was so friendly, but now everybody is very friendly. So if you can change your perspective and enrich yourself of this 5.5 years here by sharing, not only but sharing and caring for each other. If all of you are prepared, even one and somebody, and talk amongst yourself, if you deliberate, you will know much more. And that itself will enrich. And this is where I say now that when you are learning anatomy and physiology, most of you, if you are seeing it yourself, that whatever muscles I learned, in which movement of my body I put them in practice. If you see in yourself, most of you start using lift. Let me tell you, if you won't have to go for gym, if you just every day climb those staircases which you are expected to do. And then at that time, if you can recall how much of Krebs cycle, production of lactic acid, everything goes in your body. This is called assimilation, synthesis of your subject. And once you have vision, you don't need. If you have vision, you don't need revision. You don't have to study your book from first page to last page. That's the last thing you have to do. Become an inquirer with each topic. You have to have your own set of questions. Become an active learner. You know Kipling's 6 questions? Yes. He says they're my 6 best friends. Who, what, whom, where, when, and most important, why. If you will satisfy, don't postpone your understanding. Most of you feel so secure, oh I got now, of course I can say. At our times we didn't have Xeroxing facility. And now of course I see everybody student just clicking on mobile, whatever is given. So you feel secure, oh I have with me. But it is only outside you. It's not with you. Maybe if you satisfy yourself, why am I learning this topic? What is its relevance in my day-to-day being? Then what it can go wrong? What will go in anatomy, for anatomy wrong, pathology will be very enjoyable. Physiology and biochemistry will become so relevant if you apply them in pharmacology. And of course, when you will synthesize all this together, Dr. Nagkar will be very happy to have you as his students. Those who are interested in knowing everything about a patient who is a person first, and he has incidentally become a patient, and it's your responsibility that patient take disappears very fast and it continues to remain a person. So active learning is your responsibility. Don't blame your teachers that they are not teaching you. Doesn't matter, you now all learn by Google, whether they teach or not. Your subject is there, words are there. In fact, that is where I said you have to be thankful that you are at Seth G.S.Medical College and KM Hospital, where you have more number of patients than you can handle. So all types of diseases you will be able to see. We get students from abroad only to see clinical material, as they use the term. Please don't use the term material. Patients. Okay? So, once you are clear, if the whole class, you know those 2 anecdotes which I love. One American, as usual, me myself, went with a booty to Africa, and then he said that, called those tribal children that whosoever reaches fast that point will be given this award. And what they all did, they all had hands together, they ran together, and they said, how can one enjoy and others be just looking at us? We all would like to share. And another was handicap race, paraplegic. Then while they were running, not paraplegic, but they were handicapped. And while they were running, one person fell down. So the others noticed that he has fallen down. They went back, picked him up, everybody held the hand together and they ran together. Because they could not see somebody in distress being left behind and you reaching ahead. So you as a class become friends to each other, become active learner. In fact, you know how the implant came for the lens implant? One of the medical students asked the professor, when he saw that he has removed the degouged the lens, so now will you be replacing it with another implant? And that's how it came. So if you are not preoccupied with peers comparison, as I say, don't live in the world of relativity. किसका हाइट अच्छा है, किसका वेट अच्छा है, किसका कंप्लेक्शन अच्छा है, किसने अच्छा ड्रेस पहना है, मेरे पास ऐसा होना चाहिए, ये सब is world of relativity, which is all dependent on outside factors. Inside factor is sun has come on correct time, wonderful breeze is flowing, water is there, food is there, everything is fine. What more do you need? So with that sense of contentment, you will be able to so much take care of yourself and you will reach out. And once you learn, all of you learn together, active learning of why, where, when, what, how, of everything. Learn, develop that attitude. Don't underestimate your capacity. Do you think only Western mind is capable of earning? By the way, I am not impressed by Nobel Prize because Nobel Prizes are only given for those things which has harmed mankind. But what I mean that changes which can change the world for the better. Each one of you have potential, only thing you have to explore. So don't get carried away by this MCQ type of exam. It's for a while, you have to do it. If you learn properly, if you have proper vision, you will answer it properly. So, examination, you should be having upper hand over examination rather than you examination generating so much fear in you that you lose your smile, you lose your health, you lose everything. So, I would like you that don't pay attention to results. Results are outside you. Pattern of exam, mood of examiner, computer mistakes, and whatnot. But be happy. Each one of you is a unique creation of this Creator. Respect the wealth given by Creator to you. As I say, the only time I am very miser is spending time. Each moment when I do not spend with happiness, contentness and all, I have lost. Every time, every moment I spend with happiness, contentment, feeling nice. Feeling nice is an internal factor. Nobody else can give you. So then I have lived that moment. So out of all these years, whatever time I have felt nice, I have lived. Otherwise, even if you live 100 plus years, but if you have been cribbing, you have not. So, I have been feeling so much about this. So we have this law, and I said, let me take this opportunity to tell you, don't get bogged down by, sorry, I'm going to name some authors like Chaurasia. Respect your intelligence. Create that wonderful link, assimilation in your head. Share with each other. Continue with this. No examiner can, because he has to fail somebody, he will fail. No, it doesn't happen that. And mind you, after saying so much about examiners, majority of examiners come not to fail. They want to pass. And when they give some hint, take it in a positive manner and pick up from them in case you are negative here and there. So there is a pleasant side of examiners also. As you say, saw Dr.Kothari say, just sing and give. So all examiners, majority of examiners, you have to have some exception somewhere. And all these experiences also enrich you. Don't worry. I also once upon a time dread fear of examination. And all this now, what I am telling you, has evolved after experiencing, maturing, let's see what has happened. And that's why I thought, let me share with you. Can I request you to give me some, or question me something that you want me to answer before we go to the next? Feel free. I am not going to be your examiner anyway. So students are worried about हमारी internal examiner होंगे, post graduate exam होंगे, ये हमारा क्या हो? They are scared, but here we don't have to worry. Yes? Yes, Hema, you want to say something? Question something? Sure? Now let me take feedback. This feedback I don't immediately want. But somewhere you reflect over what I want to say. And as and when you feel that something changed in you, let me know. You know where I sent you, so you can just mention. Okay? Thank you very much. This is one area I was told foundation course has not done with. Am I right? How to enter, go for this. And that's why. Yes? Am I right? Okay, so in case, if any of your perspective has changed after reflecting over all this, give me that feedback, because then I will also know whether my line of thinking somewhere registers. Okay? Thank you.